You're listening to the REI Marketing Nerds Podcast, the leading resource for real estate investors who want to dominate their market online. Dan Barrett is the founder of AdWords Nerds, a high-tech digital agency focusing exclusively on helping real estate investors like you get more leads and deals online, outsmart your competition, and live a freer, more awesome life. And now, your host, Dan Barrett.
All right, I'm here with Blaine Dartez. He runs Awesome Wholesaler LLC. They're over at awesomecashbuyers.com. Blaine, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Dan. Thanks for asking.
I was literally just talking about the team having to edit this podcast to make me sound smart, and they already have something to do, so it's going to be super cool. But Blaine, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And I've got a bunch of stuff I want to get into. But why don't we just kind of start at the beginning? Like, how did you find real estate investing? Like, what was your into this wonderful world of ours?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I'm going to shorten it as much as I can.
Well, I love long stories, so I think you should just get into it.
All right. Well, I'll tell you as much as I remember then, because this is really literally the first time I've ever been asked this question. So my mother's a real estate agent down in Texas, and that's where I'm originally from. She specializes in ranch homes and things like that. And for the longest time, I was in construction. My dad owns a construction company down there. So really, it took a lot of cultivated years for my interest and love of real estate to kind of grow in me. I always knew that I wanted to get into it. I just didn't necessarily think that I wanted to be a real estate agent. And seeing my mom and the long hours that she worked and things like that kind of put a dampener on it for me. But as I grew older, I realized that, hey, I don't want to work for somebody the rest of my life, and I want to make an impact in like my area, where I'm from. How can I help people, and how can I build a business around that? And just naturally gravitated toward my knowledge of real estate. And then looking into it more, I realized, hey, I can really help people. You know, I can help people. I can build my own business in this, and at the same time, I can really do good in my area, my community, and get to know my area and community. That's a big thing with me. Where I was on the road in construction, I was never able to experience my area. And where I live up in Virginia and Tennessee now, I'm really able to dive into my community and be a part of it in real estate. So I love that aspect of it.
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting because real estate investing is, or real estate in general, right? Even from the agent side, it's this interesting thing where you can really see the direct impact, right? It's like, there's a house that I either bought or sold or fixed up or whatever. I mean, it's very tangible in a way that, like, I think a lot of other community-oriented things really aren't, right? So that must feel pretty awesome.
Absolutely. You can build it. You can see what you're doing. You can see the impact that you're having in your community, you know, whether it's renovating a property or helping somebody out, getting rid of a property that they couldn't do, and just seeing the relief in their eyes and just the light that shines when somebody can get a new house or can sell their house or can just get out from underneath that property that's killing them at this point in time. You know, it's just, I love it. I really do.
Yeah. What made you move from Texas? Like, how'd you end up in Virginia?
So I was in the industrial construction sector, building power plants and stuff like that. So I moved up here on a job. I fell in love with the area, not because it's a big city, but because it has 4 seasons. It's gorgeous. I saw snow for the first time up here. And I was like, what is this? So I decided to stay. You know, I met my wife. We had kids, and I've been up here ever since. So I've really been able to wanting to experience the area too. It's just such a drastic difference from down there and up here. So, but I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that is a beautiful part of the country. It really is. And that's awesome. The 4 seasons thing is wild to me because it's like, I'm from New England and I've lived here like my whole life, except for some stints on and off. And it's like, I can't even comprehend like a like living in California or Texas or wherever, where the seasons aren't as dramatic. Like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean?
It's like summer and is it winter? Oh, that's summer again.
Well, it's like I lived in Japan for a while, and Japan is like, they've got like a fall, they've got a beautiful fall, they've got a really beautiful winter, and they've got spring and summer. But like between spring and summer, they have like rainy season, which is like the humidity level is like 500% somehow. You know what I mean? It just is like humid and it rains hot. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, like you guys you slipped a little extra one in there and it's really unpleasant. So, I think four is good. That's the right number. Well, you hinted at this a little bit when you were talking about kind of how you got into real estate investing, but explain to people what your model is, because you were saying you're not exactly kind of your run of the mill real estate investor. So what's your current model for how you're running your business? And again, we said this before, but you are at awesomecashbuyers.com, which is probably my favorite domain name of anybody we've had on the podcast. I absolutely love it because I say that everything is awesome all the time. So, what is the model that you guys are currently running? Like, how do you structure your deals?
So basically, we concentrate mainly on the wholesale side, where we work with investors. We find sellers that are needing to sell properties, can't really list them on the market with a real estate agent, or if they did list them with an agent, they'd be selling to an investor anyway. So we cut the commission of the real estate agent out, and they just and basically hope that they just come directly to us, and then we work with the investors in our area. To then get those buyers or those properties sold and out of the hands of those other individuals. So
yeah,
on the flip
side, did you say are you moving into that other side of that transaction or?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to, and eventually I'd love to be able to concentrate on renovation projects ourselves. That's a big passion of mine, and being able to see that kind of happen and us to be the contractor, the renovator, and hold that as the investor. That way we can keep a lot of stuff in-house. But right now, basically, we concentrate on the wholesaling aspect.
It's funny, man. Like so many people, I didn't really realize this before I started doing the podcast, but one of the fascinating things about doing these has been, like really, really trying to dig into people's background and kind of see, what makes certain investors successful. I've noticed like a lot of the most successful investors that I talk to have some kind of construction background, right? They have that background in the actual like tangible fixing up of the place or the doing of the actual work. So I think that's a big advantage that you have that I think a lot of investors don't necessarily.
Yeah, well, the knowledge absolutely helps, especially when you're trying to get your renovating costs down and put it on the market to sell it and get it to an investor, make it appealing for them. And that way you're not constantly coming back on your contract with your buyer or with your seller and saying, hey, I got my renovation costs wrong, so we're going to have to come down on our price that we discussed. And nobody wants to do that. So it's really important to get those numbers right off the bat. So
yeah.
Are you an investor who wants to dominate your local market? Do you want more leads and deals online? Then download your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint, absolutely free, at www.adwordsnerds.com/gift. What are you waiting for? Go to www.adwordsnerds.com/gift right now to get your copy of the Motivated Seller Blueprint.
You have something it's interesting kind of going on in your business that I want to talk about. I want to bring it up because I actually think a lot of people deal with this problem, but it's not something that people really talk about. And that's dealing with your area targeting when you're trying to get into marketing, when you're doing pay-per-click or you're doing SEO. So you right now, you are investing. We were talking about your target areas, kind of like where do you invest or where are you doing wholesaling deals? Your target markets you're doing Southwest Virginia and Roanoke, the Roanoke area of Virginia, but you're also in the Tri-City, Tennessee area. can you break down for people kind of like how those areas are structured and like what the challenge is? Because I think for a lot of investors, if you're like investing in Houston, it's like, you get it. You're targeting Houston, right? It's like, it's city, that's your area, right? But for a lot of people who aren't in this kind of like super obvious major metro area, they end up covering a real wide kind of swath of territory, and it kind of makes things complicated. So can you break down kind of like your target markets for people and sort of like what the difficulties that you've had trying to figure out how to market those areas are?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. So this is more one of the very, I guess, most awkward markets that I've ever been placed, or when I sit back and actually look at, like, golly, I couldn't have been placed in. I love the area, but I, probably could have picked a better place, because I come from San Antonio, right, down in Texas, that area, or Austin, and I just think like, oh, if I was down there, how much easier it would have been to tackle this challenge. And it has been in my business a challenge to really wrangle in and tackle. But basically, on the Tri-Cities, Tennessee side, it consists of about 3 major cities/towns, which is Kingsport, Johnson City, and then Bristol, Tennessee. And there's a lot of intermediate little towns and things like that in between there. And then on the Virginia side, there's actually, Bristol is 2 cities. Well, it's 1 city on the Virginia and Tennessee, and the line runs straight through it. So there's a Bristol, Virginia as well, and then Abingdon, and then a bunch of smaller little cities in between here and Roanoke. That's basically the gist of the major areas that we're kind of moving in and definitely targeting. So
it's interesting. There's kind of like 2 things that we're trying to combine there, right? Because there's how people naturally talk about selling their homes in that area, right? Like whether I'm saying like, hey, I need to sell my house in Abingdon, or I need to sell my house in Bristol, or whether they're saying I need to sell a house in the Tri-City, Tennessee area, or, however that natural language emerges, because we need to target that and parrot that back to potential sellers. But then there's also understanding like how Google understands that area, right? Like how Google is matching you up with people that are searching, and the way that natural language kind of filters through that Google search box. So do you have a sense of like if someone is in that market, and it's obvious, it's actually a lot of markets kind of all lumped together, how do they talk about it, or how do they search for it? I mean, do you have a sense of that?
No, that is why I hired AdWords Nerds. Yeah, absolutely. To solve this equation, because we'll get calls and I'll get hits on our website, or I'll get hit, and basically it was a shotgun method. Type it all in and see what hits first or hit. But whenever I talk to people, it's just constantly changing. They'll say, "Oh, I'm from Tri-Cities, Tennessee." I'll call the same person back, and they'll reference to themselves as living in Bristol, Tennessee, or, well, I'm not really in Bristol because I'm in Jonesboro, and it's right on the edge of Johnson City. And I don't know if I'm actually in Bristol or Johnson City or Jonesboro.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of it smooths together. So mainly, we try to target the 3 main cities, which are Bristol, Kingsport, and Johnson City, because usually when you're in city limits, for a fact. And then the Tri-Cities, Tennessee. So we have those 4 for our keys in the Tri-Cities, and then on the Virginia side, Abingdon, which is a good small market, and then Roanoke. So, but that's a lot. It's still a lot versus, hey, Houston. But we actually have to hit all of those.
Yeah, I mean, it gets really interesting, man. We could talk a little bit like how we try to approach it, because I think this is where the technical part of search engine optimization kind of really comes into play, right? Because in a lot of ways, you kind of have to teach Google how certain phrases or terms are related to each other. And so a lot of times what we'll do is, just like you said, like we'll sort of pick the big kind of targets. So like the biggest cities in a given area. And we will build out pretty extensive, regional pages for that. And I think in general, what we see is that Google wants to return a page that has a strong regional focus much more than it wants to return a page that has a strong keyword focus. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you had a page that's just like, sell my house in Bristol. Okay. And like, that's the keyword for that page. That page has a clear regional area, like, focus. You make the content all focused on the area. You've got a lot of regional stuff there, right? And it's, you got sell my house in there, but it's really focused on the area specifically. And then you might have like, a page that's like, sell my house fast, right? It's like just purely focused on that keyword, sell my house fast. Not really like strong regional focus, but your company is in a specific area. Well, Google's going to almost always preference that sell my house in Bristol page over the sell my house fast page, even if all they type in is sell my house. Like, it wants to add that regional layer. And so we've had a lot of success just trying to rank those regional pages and working that process. And I think part of the benefit of it is, like, so if you've got surrounding areas that are much smaller, of course you can target them with direct pages, but we actually see that those smaller pages those smaller areas end up sending traffic to the bigger pages, right? So like, if you're in a suburb of Houston, you often are going to end up seeing like Houston-centric pages if those pages are the best, or what Google thinks is the best. So I think for you, you're doing it in exactly the right way. And like you said, like, we're working together. So it's like, we're working on this with you, but having the smaller cities in there, if we think the volume is going to be there and it's important to target it, but also having that kind of parent page that's kind of like the broad area name, all those things work really well. I mean, I think, you could obsess about it, but I think Google is relatively smart. And if we send the signal in the right way, I think they're gonna be able to match you up with people that fit your, the description of your target market. I mean, has that been the case? Like, have you found it to generally be on point in terms of, like, when you talk to people, they're basically in your target area?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They are in the target area. It has been we've been pretty successful in it, and most of the feedback, I'd say, probably comes from, like you're saying, more of an area like the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, versus a singular Bristol, Kingsport, or Johnson City. So, and we're starting to see that.
Yeah, but what's interesting about you is, so you're saying this, like, so people in that area, do they actually use the term Tri-Cities, Tennessee? Like, they say that about where they live? Because there are like other things. So it's like, you could say like, okay, like where I live in Connecticut, I used to live in Middlesex County, but no one in that area would ever type in sell my house in Middlesex County, right? They don't think at the county level in Connecticut, right? In your area, people actually use that phrase, the Tri-City area? Like, is that kind of how people think about it?
Yeah, there's kind of a culture, and here's another problem, because there's a culture around that, and then there's a culture that's distinctly, hey, I'm from, because there's a real big battle as far as high schools and stuff like that from those three cities, because they're so close and right there. So you get both realms, I'm telling you, crazy market. It's really difficult. So I would love to just target Tri-Cities, Tennessee, but then there's another side of individuals where they are just Johnson City. I'm from Johnson City, or I am from Bristol, and they stay there, or I'm from Kingsport, and I'm only living in Kingsport. And then you've got the latter, where many refer to themselves as they have this hive mind I'm in the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, and it's a group think, and I live in Tri-Cities, even though I'm just in Bristol.
It's like saying like I'm in the European Union versus like I'm from France or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Funny, I wonder if you could. It might be good. You could run like Facebook ads to like people that like that high school page or something like that. Kind of, and your ads would just be specifically like, forget those other schools, they're lame. Like, sell your house to someone from this high school or something like that.
Really that battle between them. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Well, you could do the classic. I mean, I don't think Facebook likes when you do this, but you could do the like for the Beavers and share for the Trojans or whatever, or you really like, that was a bit Freudian, my choice of high school mascots. I don't know about that, but but really like, drive it home just to get the engagement on the post is pretty funny. But yeah, man, it's really interesting. I think you really cued on really the critical thing, which is you're targeting based on the culture of the area that you're in, right? And I think it's one of those things where there is no like blanket right way to do most things. It's always about where you are and the people around you and the culture that's specific to that market. And I think understanding that and kind of leaning into that is so critical because, people don't respond to things that they don't understand or that they can't see reflected in themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. So like, what do you feel like is next for you? Like, what's this next year going to be like for Awesome Wholesaler LLC?
So this next year we have a lot of high aspects or high expectations. Sorry, because I'm getting my agent's license, my real estate license. So not just for my company, but for me in general, we expect to see growth exponentially because where usually we would have to refer out a lead if somebody was not interested in a cash offer, not really needing to sell their house right now. Now I can funnel them into the different side, another side, which is, hey, I'm an agent, and if you need to list your house versus, sell it, we can get a maximum offer that or maximum price that the area is going to allow. We can go ahead and list it. You don't need to sell right now for the non-motivated sellers. So, we're able to tackle that and bring all that under our company's umbrella one way or another now. So, and we really think that that's gonna be really good for us. Not only because it is a small market, so knowing and other individuals knowing that you can supply both of those needs or necessities is going to be a really big thing.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I mean, I think the whole idea of being able to profit off the leads that you used to have to throw away is so massive and opens up channels to you that other investors, other competitors can't tap into. I mean, it's just, I often say this, but it's like, if you're running ads, even if all you do is cut your ad spend in half by getting a single listing a month or something like that, that's a massive advantage over everyone else that can't do that. So I'm very excited for you. It sounds like you're really kind of on the cusp of something very cool.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, it's my pleasure. Well, hey, if people want to follow up with you or learn more about you and your company, where should they find you online?
Yeah, definitely visit our website at www.awesomecashbuyers.com. You can get in line and have a business number, direct line, email, and directly on that website and how to contact us. And feel free to send me a call or an email, either one, and we'll get back in touch with you.
Yeah, you guys should definitely do that. I mean, I think Blaine's done something really cool here, and I like your website a lot. Plus, I've done some work on it, so they should go and check out the amazing work that I've done. And well, hey, Blaine, it was an absolute pleasure, man. It was really great getting to know you a little bit, and I wish you all the best, man. I think, like I said, you are really teeing yourself up to crush it this year, and I'm very much looking forward to catching up and kind of seeing where you guys take it. So, thanks so much for coming on the show. Yeah, appreciate it. And I think one of the main things that's going to set us off this year is hiring AdWords nerds. You guys, and utilizing y'all's talent to help us set us forward and rocket us into the future. So. Well, Blaine, your check is in the mail, my friend. Thank you very much for saying that. And yeah. Well, hey guys, definitely go check out the site. Again, that's at awesomecashbuyers.com. Blaine, thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.